Hi guys, today's video is focused on IAS 41 agriculture. For those who don't know me, I'm the commerce specialist. Welcome to my channel where you'll find videos covering various academic and professional qualification and certifications, including life-changing business ideas and hacks. So let's discuss IAS 41 agriculture. When we are discussing any international accounting standard or international financial reporting standard, it is important to understand what is the scope of the standard. Means this standard covers what? So IAS 41 agriculture covers the accounting treatment for biological assets and agricultural produce till the point of harvest or slaughter. I'm going to explain that. What IAS 41 agriculture does not cover is the bearer plants. So now you'll be thinking, what are bearer plants? Bearer plants are plants which are used to grow other crops, but they are not consumed themselves. Some example of bearer plants are coconut trees, oil palms, grapevines, and tea bushes. There are more examples, but I think these are enough to make you understand. Now, before we go to IAS 41 agriculture, we need to understand that how are bearer plant accounted for. These bearer plants are accounted for under IAS 16 by either cost or revaluation model. In order to understand IAS 41 agriculture, we need to understand some key terms. For example, biological assets. So biological assets are actually living animals and plants. Now the other thing we need to understand, what is meant by biological transformation. Biological transformation is a process of growth. You can say it's a process of growth, production, degeneration, and procreation, which causes qualitative and quantitative changes in biological assets. So these are the terms which are used basically in IAS 41 agriculture. We need to understand what they are. And finally, the key term is agricultural produce. So agriculture produce is the harvested product of an entity's biological assets. Now, when we are talking about biological assets, the timeline is very important. So let me explain you what is meant by this timeline, because of this timeline you will get to know till what point IAS 41 agriculture is applicable, and beyond that what happens. Guys, if you look at, it starts from here to here. Let's say from the day you plant the seed or an animal gives the birth, right up till here, this entire period is known as biological transformation. Means you planted a seed and that seed became a small plant and the plant grew into a big tree, giving biological produce like fruits, vegetables, whatever. Or if a goat gave birth to a kid and the kid became a big goat and then it is slaughtered. Or if we are talking about a plant, it is harvested. So till this point, from planting or animal giving birth to a child, from here right up till they become big, if it's a plant, it is harvested. If it is an animal, it is slaughtered. So all this points throughout this time is called biological transformation, and that is covered under IAS 41. Let's say my business is like, buying and selling of mutton. So once the animal is slaughtered, beyond this is covered by IAS 2, inventories. Because if I'm buying and selling mutton, then mutton is my inventory. But from the time the kid was born, a baby goat is known as a kid. So from the time the kid was born right up till it became a big goat and it was slaughtered, all that period is covered under IAS 41 because it's a biological transformation. But once the goat is slaughtered and now what we have is goat's meat in which we are trading, we are buying and selling, that is covered under IS2 inventories. I hope this much is clear to everybody. Now, next important thing when it comes to application of IS 41 agriculture is the recognition criteria. When can we recognize biological assets? So there are 3 points to be considered. Number 1, when the organization controls the biological assets. The second point is when it is probable that future economic benefits relating to the biological assets will flow to the entity. So I'm just writing here, let's say future economic benefits will flow to the entity. And the third important point is that when the fair value or cost of the biological assets can be measured reliably. Now the next important thing we need to understand is the measurement criteria. How biological assets are measured. So please note that both biological assets and agricultural produce are measured at fair value minus cost to sell. Now this fair value less cost to sell is more like net realizable value. Now one thing you need to understand, this fair value minus cost to sell becomes the cost of agriculture produced after harvesting. Because if you remember, like in IS2 inventories, we value inventories at lower of cost or NRV. So when we talk about cost, what is cost? Cost is fair value minus cost to sales. After the harvesting, fair value minus cost to sell become the cost of the inventories. So if there is any changes in fair value minus cost to sell, that is recognized in the profit and loss account. Sometimes it is very difficult to measure the fair value of a biological assets reliably. Then what do? We measure it at cost minus accumulated depreciation or impairment losses. So guys, finally we have presentation, and you'll be surprised that biological assets are presented in the statement of financial position as non-current assets. So just to sum it up, IS 41 agriculture only covers the treatment of biological assets except bearer plants. What are bearer plants? Bearer plants are plants which are used to produce other crops but they are not themselves used. Then treatment of bearer plants, I've already told you, they are accounted for under I-16 by either cost or evaluation method. Okay. Transformations, I've already explained you, agriculture produce. Recognition criteria, please remember the 3 points. Only recognize biological assets if the entity controls the assets, if there is a possibility that the future economic benefits relating to the biological assets will flow to the entity, and the fair value of cost of biological assets can be measured reliably. Then when we're talking about measurement, it is measured at fair value less cost to sales, which is more like net realizable value. When we talk about presentation, in the financial statements, biological assets are presented as non-current assets. Ladies and gentlemen, write in the comment section if you have any other queries related to IS 41. I'll be happy to respond. So guys, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Press the bell notification button so that you get my videos on a timely basis. If you like this video, please share it with your dear and near ones so that others can also benefit. Thank you so very much for your precious time.